So hello everyone, we'll start with the class today. Today we are going to discuss about non-positivist methodologies. Okay, last Friday we were discussing about positivism. You guys will remembering we were talking about external reality, empiricism, universalism, naturalism, all these things we were discussing in the last class. Today we are discussing just the opposite concept of positivism, that is non-positivism. Okay, we'll have around 3 pages of synopsis today. So please write it with me because I'll be erasing it as soon as I complete. Okay, please write it with me. And then we'll discuss about the PDF today itself. Okay. So first one, we'll talk about positivism. We know what is positivism. And we are trying to see the difference between positivism and non-positivism. So please make a flowchart for differentiation like this, positivism and non-positivism. You guys already know what is positivism from the last class. Okay, first thing we learned about positivism was external reality. I hope you guys remember. Okay, external reality, we were talking about empiricism, inductivism, naturalism, or universalism. We were telling that we will see only what is quantifiable. Okay, we'll see what we can observe through our senses. Empiricism means observe through our senses. Okay, whatever we can measure, all these things only we'll take it when consider when we are doing a research in sociology is what we discussed in the external reality. Then we talked about quantitative, correct? Quantifiable. It has to be quantitative. Then we spoke about using inductive approach. So also we have discussed inductive approach. Then we said that if a discipline to be positivism, then it has to be go ahead with the macro concept. Okay. And we said that of course it have to be scientific in nature. Then we have said in the elements of positivism, we spoke about theory building, we spoke about testing, and finally we also spoke about objectivity. These are the few elements of positivism. This we know already. Okay. Now we have to see with respect to this, what are the non-positivist concepts. So if you know the difference between these two, or if you can jot down the elements of positivism and non-positivism like this, your half of the work is done. Okay, so you can easily write what is positivism and non-positivism. These are the elements. So see, external reality is what positivism says. So what will be non-positivism will say, it will talk about internal reality. Okay, internal reality. Then quantitative. So what will it talk? It will talk about qualitative. Okay, about I told you last class itself, we were talking about internal reality means feelings, meanings attached to the actor to his action according to Weber. Then the emotions, hatred, love, anger, all these things are internal reality. So this will be in a qualitative nature. We can't quantify it. Okay, and inductive, we will be using deductive approach. And we'll be using micro perspective. Why can't we use macro here? Because we are studying small perspectives, or it is subjective in nature. For a person or for two persons, one concept will be different. Okay, it is depending upon their interest and taste and biasness. Things will change in non-positivism. So we can only do micro concept, we can't do macro thing. Okay, then scientific. So what will we do? We will be using humanistic approach we'll adopt. And theory building, testing, and it is just a distant dream. It is not at all possible. We can just understand the thing, that's it. Okay, theory building and testing is not possible. Finally, objectivity is used in positivism. So obviously what will we use? We'll use subjectivity in non-positivism. Okay, now I have told you last class what is objectivity. Objectivity means free from personal bias, value neutral, freedom from personal interest, etc. That means objectively we are trying to understand something more into a scientific method of inquiry. When we come to subjectivity, subjectivity means based upon personal feelings, interest, taste, opinion. All these things will be affected when you talk about subjectivity. So this is actually personal bias is there. Personal bias. Here it is value neutral. There is no personal bias in objectivity. Subjectivity, it is more into a personal bias concept. Okay. So we'll go again. positivism, external reality, non-positivism, internal reality, positivism, quantitative, non-positivism, qualitative, inductive approach, deductive approach, macro concept, micro concept, scientific, humanistic, theory building and testing is applicable in positivism. It's a distant reality in non-positivism. It is not possible. We can just understand the things, that's it. Objectivity is there in positivism and subjectivity is there in non-positivism. Okay, just write it down fast. I will write the next synopsis now. I'll erase this. Okay. Next, we'll come to the crux of the discussion. Okay, that means non-positivism. So before talking into non-positivism, let me give a brief definition for positivism. Yesterday, we spoke something that positivism is that relates specifically on empiricism, naturalism, inductivism is the definition which we studied yesterday. So today, I'll take you one step ahead. Okay, that means we'll talk in terms of objectivity and subjectivity. Okay, first you should be very clear when I'm telling what is objectivity, what is subjectivity. What is objectivity? Freedom from personal biases. I will not have any lineage towards what I am deciding. I'll do only in a scientific manner. What is subjectivity? My personal interest will be affected. Okay, external reality can be studied in objective way, correct? Because according to positivism, we are studying external reality. It is quantifiable in nature. External realities are quantifiable. That means we can measure. I'm using scientific method. That means objective. Okay. In non-positivism, we are talking about internal realities like feelings, emotions, love, etc. So this, it is it is not quantifiable. It is subject to every person. The meanings will be different. Okay. So I'll tell you this, the new definition which I'm giving you today with respect to positivism is objective understanding of objective reality. Very important. Please write it down. Objective understanding of objective reality. Okay. Positivism, both the things we are quoting objective. Very simple, because it's free from personal biases. Initial sociologists wanted to align sociology in line with natural sciences. They have come up with something called positivism because they wanted to align sociology similar to natural science. So everything will be used in scientific method. There is no free, like physics, chemistry, how we are studying, same way they wanted to make sociology also. So they have said that objective understanding of objective reality will be done. Now you see the two words, objective understanding, first two words. Okay, objective understanding means what am I talking? Objectively, I'm trying to understand. That means my method of inquiry I'm talking about. Method of inquiry will be scientific in positivism. Okay, and objective reality I'm studying. Okay, objective reality I'm studying means my subject matter is what? What I'm studying here in positivism. I'm studying subject matter is external reality. External reality, which I can quantify. Measurable. So everything is scientific here. Okay, there is no personal bias. There is no meaning, nothing coming here. Positivism means objective understanding of objective reality. Then we'll come to just opposite concept, non-positivism. Non-positivism deal opposite thing. If objective in positivism, what will be in non-positivism? Subjective. That is, subjective understanding of subjective reality is non-positivism. Subjective understanding of subjective reality. Okay. Now again, we will see to these two words. And these two words, first two words is subjective understanding. What is subjective understanding means? Method of inquiry. My method of inquiry is what? I'm more leaning towards subjectively I'm understanding. That means my personal biases will come. Depending upon my personal feeling, my understanding, I'll decide on things. Okay. And what and subject matter sociology. Here, subjective reality means what? We'll be talking about internal reality in non-positivism. Okay. So difference between the two, easy to understand. Objectivity is more towards freedom from personal bias. This is more lenient towards scientific. So positivism. Subjectivity is non-positivism. Okay. Now this two is clear. Positivism means objective understanding of objective reality. Non-positivism, opposite concept is subjective understanding of subjective reality. Then there's a school in between these two, and that school is called interactionist school. Okay, there's other group which has come, that is called interactionist school. Okay, this you have to listen very carefully, otherwise you will get confused. If you are not clear with these three concepts, there is no point going ahead. Okay, be very clear with these three concepts. Already positivism, you know, non-positivism, we know, and then we're talking about interactionist school in between these two. Okay, before we're talking about the concept of interactionist, I'll tell you two persons who profounder of this theory is Weber and Mead. Yeah, G.H. Mead. Weber and Mead came out with this concept of interactionist school. Okay, according to Weber, we already know, even though we have not reached the thinkers part, n number of times I have spoken about Weber. We have told that Weber says that sociology studies what? Human meanings attached by the actor to his action. And we have to also understand the cause and effect of the relationship. Cause and effect relationship we have to find out. That is why he have done this. Okay, Weber is talking about this. Now he's talking about meanings attached to the actor to his action. He is talking about meaning. Okay, so meaning means what? It's an internal reality. So he's talking about subjective reality. Okay, then now he's telling that we have to understand meanings attached by the actor to his action. So subjective meaning means what? Internal feeling. So it has become subjective reality. Then he's telling that second statement, he's telling that we have to also understand the cause and effect relationship. How will you understand cause and effect? Cause and effect is more towards a scientific point of view. So we'll say objective understanding. Method of inquiry is scientific. Objective understanding of subjective reality is interactionist school. Okay, so positivism was there, non-positivism is the opposite thing. In between, there's another school came, which is not known as interactionist school. Profounders were Weber and G.H. Mead. And interactionist school is actually a gradual withdrawal from positivism and going towards non-positivism. In between, actually Weber is believed to bridge the gap between the two schools, positivism and non-positivism. Okay, so Weber is saying that we have to understand the meaning. Okay, how will you understand the meaning? Meaning will be understood by studying about the internal factor, and internal things come in subjective reality. And he is also saying that we have to understand cause and effect relationship. Why he have done this? Okay, cause and effect, you know, it is scientific method. So objective understanding. Therefore, interactionist school goes with objective understanding of subjective reality. If you know this three, we are done. Okay. Maybe it will take some time for the person who is seeing this for the first time, but start linking like this. Objective and subjective meaning you should know. Objective means bias free. Subjective means bias is there. If bias is there, internally we are thinking. Objective, we are neutral. That means externally we are thinking. So link like that. Okay. Then you can write this. I'll erase this. Now we'll discuss about the structure of the answer. Till now we have not reached non-positivism. I'm just telling you the way how it has come. So we are discussing everything from the point of view of how it was evolved, what is the scope, difference between common sense, difference between other social sciences. Then we are seeing sociology. So gradually we are seeing the growth of sociology. So positivism we have studied last day. Now we know the interactionist school is come. Some people came in between. They are supposed to bridge the gap between positivism and non-positivism. And now we are going to non-positivist concept. Okay. Non-positivism. Opposite of positivism is non-positivism. Very simple. Positivism we know, more objectively scientific method we are seeing. Opposite is non-positivism. Subjective thing we are seeing. We are trying to understand internal meaning. Okay. Now how to write the answer for non-positivism it is asked. Okay. First thing you have to obviously write about the introduction. Introduction, what all things you will write, I told you. First three chapters, whatever asked, you have to talk about emergence, and also initial sociologist aim you have to write. So talk about emergence and initial sociologist. Okay, so what did you write about emergence? Sociology emerged in response to challenges posed before modernity in medieval Europe. Initial sociologists wanted to align sociology in line with natural sciences. This too we will write, okay? Then you talk little bit about positivism. Or even though the question is about non-positivism, little bit we have to speak about the positivism also. So what will you write? We'll write that objective study. That definition you will write here, okay? Objective study of objective reality is called positivism. Everything is objective. Everything is biasless. Okay, that is objective study of objective reality is positivism. Then we'll speak interactionist school because it has come in between. Interactionism. So what is in two people have spoken about? That is Mead and Weber. Spoke about interactionism. So interactionism, what we are studying? We are studying objective study only. Objective study of but subjective reality. Don't get confused here. To remember about this interaction, just think about Weber. And you should know what Weber have said. Weber have said that we have to understand the meaning and cause and effect. Meaning means it will go internal subjective. Cause and effect, scientific method, it will go to objective. Just remember this definition like this. Okay. So interactionist Weber and Mead. Then we'll come to non-positivism. So our discussion today, okay, regarding non-positivism. So introduction, positivism, non-positivism. When you start writing about non-positivism, you have to quote other two thinkers also, that is William Dilthey and Hendrik Rickert. Okay, I'll give you everything in the PDF. Then also William Dilthey. If you write in synopsis, no, you'll remember to write, quote their names. Hendrik Rickert. Okay, if you're not able to read from here, don't worry, leave space and you can copy from PDF later. Okay, so William Dilthey and Hendrik Rickert, what they have said is that actually there is difference between social world and natural world. They have caught the difference between social world and natural world, that we also know. Okay, what is social world? Social world means more about individual, society, etc. It is internal meaning. What is natural world? Subject matter of natural world is subject matter is matter that we can predict. It is more into scientific external reality we are seeing. So William Dilthey and Hendrik Rickert have emphasized difference between social and natural world. That means what? We are moving towards non-positivism. Okay, almost we reach non-positivism. That is why thinkers started thinking in this way. Okay, now we have to quote one more important person, George Hegel. Okay, according to George Hegel, actually he is an idealist. I'll tell you what is idealism. Okay, idealist. Idealist means for them the subject matter is idea. Okay, for them the extreme reality is the true knowledge is idea. He says that everything comes from the idea of a person, and where ideas will originate obviously in the mind. So it becomes internal reality. So it becomes non-positivism. Okay, I'll tell you again. George Hegel was profounder of idealist concept. Okay, and his theory's name is Hegel's speculative philosophy. That you can copy from Hegel's speculative philosophy. You can copy from the PDF. So according to Hegel's speculative philosophy, the primary importance is given to the or true knowledge is there in ideas. Okay, and where will ideas originate? Originate in the minds of the people. So it becomes internal reality. So it becomes non-positivism. Okay, so you can quote William Dilthey, Hendrik Rickert, and George Hegel with respect to non-positivism. Initial paragraph, you can add this. Okay, then we'll come to two important concepts, that is phenomenology and ethnomethodology. Okay, don't get scared by seeing this terminologies. Very easy concept. Okay, we can derive the meaning from the word itself. Phenomenology and ethnomethodology. Methodology. Phenomenology. The keyword is phenomena here. Okay, we know what is phenomena. Something happening, we say a phenomena. Okay, so phenomenology means direct understanding of things. Directly I'm going and understanding. Direct understanding. I'll tell you with an example. Okay, for example, an accident happening. Okay, wherever you're studying in the reading room or your house, where you're studying, you came to know that, okay, some accident happened in the nearby area, maybe a U-turn or a traffic circle somewhere. So everybody will go there obviously to check the thing. So if you're studying something regarding to that, you will go there and you will directly understand what has happened. Okay, so your understanding a phenomena directly is called phenomenology. It is just about understanding a phenomena. That means what? And how will you interpret? You are directly going and understanding. So you will start getting internal meanings. Okay, internal meanings, motives, everything. Internal reality will be affected here. So internal reality means what? Non-positivism. That is why the school is under non-positivism. So phenomenology means just understanding the phenomena, which by going directly there, and then what are you understanding depending upon your internal motives. Maybe your way of thought will be different. Your thought process may be different. So depending upon that, you will be seeing, and you will be thinking that, okay, there is no traffic signal because of that accident happened. Or you will think that, okay, people rash drive here because smooth road because of that accident happened. So it is depending upon your concept, your point of view. That is what phenomenology talks about, direct understanding. And this is actually given by Alfred Schutz. Alfred Schutz have given this concept of phenomenology. Okay, then we come to ethnomethodology. This is given by Harold Garfinger. Okay, G you can write here, and you can later copy from the PDF. I don't have space to write here. That's fine. So in ethnomethodology, we are talking. So you know about you heard about accident happen. So by the time you reach there, what you will do is that instead of directly understanding, you will start asking to people who are there, what happened. You will keep on asking to different persons. You will go and ask. So you are taking input from everywhere, and then finally you are coming to a conclusion after hearing so many people. So that is called ethnomethodology. But what will be there? It will be highly subjective. Correct? That means what? You are getting input from many people. They will tell you their opinion, their way of thought. Okay, their thought process they will tell you. So whatever you will get, it will be highly subjective. High time bias will be there. Okay, they are sharing their experience, their meaning they are sharing. So this is also non-positivism. This is the two schools in non-positivism: phenomenology and ethnomethodology. Phenomenology is introduced by Alfred Schutz, and he said that directly we are going and understanding things. A phenomena, it is happening directly. You went there, understood thing. It is about the internal reality, meaning everything, and actually you are not making any theory or testing, nothing. I told you non-positivism, theory building, testing, generalized concepts are far apart. That is not possible. Only in positivism we can make theories, testing, everything. So theory building and all not in picture. Just you're going directly understanding is called phenomenology. Then it comes to ethnomethodology. Ethnomethodology is given by Harold Garfinger. According to him, he said that actually this is having a name. This is called method of accounts. Method of accounts. Okay, I told you will be going to different people and you will get opinion from them. You will ask people what happened for the spectator, from the spectators, and this process is called method of account. You will collect information from different accounts, different people. Okay, and this will be highly subjective. Okay, this is about the ethnomethodology. Then we'll talk about elements of non-positivism. Elements of non-positivism. The first synopsis I've given you: internal reality, deduction, no theory, no testing. So you have to write differences. We have written, right? So whatever comes in non-positivist differences, you can write here. Okay, that are the elements of non-positivism. Then we will speak about criticism and conclusion. This is the structure we have to write. Okay, I'll repeat. We're talking about non-positivism. Okay, non-positivism concept is evolved after as an anti-positive school. Okay, positivism school has emerged first. In positivism, we have said that we are studying objective study of objective reality. Everything is objective, everything is bias free, everything is value neutral. Okay, we are going by that. Then we come to interactionism. Next, in between, interactionism is believed to bridge the gap between the two, positivism and non-positivism. Small withdrawal from positivism and moving towards non-positivism is called interactionism. Two thinkers we are quoting here, Weber and Mead. Okay, and interactionism definition is objective study of subjective reality. Objective study means the method of inquiry I'm using is scientific. So I will say objective, because scientific, there is no bias. So objective. And what am I studying? I'm studying meanings attached, internal reality. So subjective, because when I'm studying meaning, my biasness will be there. Then we come to non-positivism. We are quoting three thinkers here: William Dilthey, Hendrik Rickard, and George Hegel. William Dilthey and Hendrik Rickard have spoken about differences between social world and natural world. In social world, subject matter is individual. Natural world, subject matter is matter. Then we comes to George Hegel. George Hegel was an idealist. What do you mean by the concept of idealist school? Actually, true reality is only the idea, and idea originates from the mind of the people. So it becomes internal reality. It becomes non-positivism. Then we spoke about two schools in non-positivism: phenomenology, ethnomethodology. Concepts are very simple. Phenomenology, phenomena. I'm going and directly seeing a phenomena. That's it. Ethnomethodology means method of accounts I'm using. I will go to different people, take accounts from people, and then I'm coming to a conclusion. It will be highly subjective, highly biased, because different people are giving their input. Then we spoke about elements of non-positivism. Of course, in elements, we have already discussed in the first slide. What are the elements? Like internal meanings, qualitative methods, deductive approach, micro, humanistic, and it is more into understanding. Theory building and testing is far reality. We are not even doing that. No prediction, no testing, and we are doing subjectivity. Okay, more it's subjective. Then we comes to criticism and conclusion. Okay, you can copy this, those who are not written. Okay. Now we'll come to the PDF. Okay. Non-positivist methodology. Okay. Towards the end of 18th century and early 19th century, the positivist approach like empiricism, inductivism, universalism. So in the positivist school is empiricism, inductivism, whatever we see, whatever we feel, whatever we get from our senses, reasoning, evidence, logic, all these things came to be questioned by an alternative school of thought, broadly referred to us as idealist. So what are idealists? We know. Scientists like William Dilthey and Hendrik Rickard highlighted the difference between a natural world and social world we discussed. According to them, social world is unique in terms of meanings, symbols, values, etc., which govern it. On the other hand, natural world is guided by laws of nature. Okay. Thus, there are some internal sides which exist in the form of ideas in the mind of individuals. Famous German idealist George Hegel opined that social phenomena are the result of the ideas generated in the minds. I have told you there. Where are these ideas coming? In the minds of the individual. This is called Hegelian speculative philosophy, HSP. According to Hegel, social phenomena are results of the ideas which are generated in the minds of individuals, and these ideas are responsible for the history. And history means what? Whatever happening, whatever happened, and whatever is going to happen. So we can, everything is based upon the ideas. This view was in direct contradiction with the prevailing positive school. Okay, so it was all this was against positive school. Although in sociology, the initial perspective used was positivism, but by the end of 19th century, an alternative school inspired by idealists emerged, which later on came to be known as non-positivist school or even anti-positivist school. This perspective posed its origin in sociology in the writings of Max Weber in Europe and to an extent. I told you Weber and Mead were supposed to bridge the gap between the two. When it realized by scholars that sociological issues cannot be addressed using fixed laws only, they turned from positivism to non-positivism. So what are fixed laws? Scientific method, matter, all these things was not able to work with sociology. So we moved from positivism to non-positivism. While positivist methodology saw society as given and man as mere part of its governed by its rulers, non-positivist on the other hand held man as independent thinking being who can influence society also. So positive school, the concept was like that man is not a decision maker at all. Okay, whatever, there is a nature of law. Everything happens because of that. But when it comes to non-positive school, they say that man has the capability to think independently and he is actually influencing society. They rejected the over-socialized conception of man. Non-positivist methodologies thus try to gauge what does inside mind of man and how it affects society. So mind of man, that is internal reality, was coming into picture. Now, Weber's ideas represent a transition from positivism to non-positivism. I told you Weber and Mead was supposed to slowly withdraw from positivism and move towards non-positivism. It is said that by introducing a new dimension to subject matter, he brought non-positivism to society, sociology. According to him, the task of sociology is to study human action and meanings attached by actor to his action, and cause and effect relationship. This is what the example you have to remember when you talk about this interactionist school. In between, middle school is there, na? Interactionist school. There, you have to think about Weber. Then you can easily understand the concept. He's talking about the meanings and he's talking about the cause and effect. Meaning is what? Subjective. Cause and effect is what? Objective. So, objective study of subjective reality is what? Interactionist perspective or interpretative sociology. All same. So in this perspective, the basis of this approach is that individual is having a voluntary will and his thoughts cannot be understood simply in terms of external influence. Human beings have a consciousness which cannot be predicted. I told you, internal meanings when we are studying subject matter sociology is human being, whose behavior cannot be predicted. This approach also came to be known as voluntaristic approach. Okay, Weber also proposed scientific methods for interpretative sociology. Methods used by Weber include Westerhand, ideal types, comparative methods, causal pluralism. We'll study all these things in the thinkers chapter, don't worry. Sometimes it is argued that Weber is a positivist in terms of methodology and non-positivist in terms of scope of sociology, that is objective study of subjective reality. This is a very important statement. Okay, that is, sometimes it is argued that Weber is a positivist in terms of methodology. Why I am saying that? Because he is telling cause and effect relationship. Method of inquiry is objective. Okay, and non-positives in terms of scope of sociology. Scope of sociology, he is telling that scope of sociology is there in the meanings. So it is going towards positivism. Okay, that is objective study of subjective reality. Similarly, G.H. Mead proposed an interactionist perspective in his book Mind, Self and Society. Actually, G.H. Mead's student is there, Bloomer. He have written this book. G.H. Mead only proposed during that time. It was compiled by Bloomer, and that his work is called Symbolic Interactionism. Okay, symbolic interactionism is also part of non-positivist methodology, but not in a pure, it is not a pure form, because I told you Mead and Weber are there in interactionist school, interpretative school. In middle, they are not pure positivist, nor they are not pure non-positivist, in between. So not in a pure form. According to Mead, the human behavior is governed by the internal processes by which people interpret the world around them and give meaning to their life. So we'll study about this theory in Mead detail. Okay, you can just leave this. Okay, I'll tell you a crux of this. So Mead says that human behavior is governed by internal processes, whatever we are thinking in mind, and depending upon how we interpret things. Example, I'll tell you. We were discussing about the accident. And in ethnomethodology, I told you we'll take method of account. That means the researcher will go to different people who are spectators and collect information from them. So whatever they are giving is their interpretation. That means whatever interpret the world around them and give meaning to their own life. Whatever they have seen around them, they are giving meaning. Same thing is told here. That comes in symbolic interactionism. Now, why the word symbolic means we are using symbols. So both verbal and non-verbal. Okay, that means we'll be talking, but we'll give some actions also through our with our hands, with our eyes, everything we can give actions. We can convey the meanings to people, right? So that is why the term symbolic interaction. So symbols are also, use of symbols is happening. Okay, in detail we'll study in thinkers. The interactionists did not overrule the use of science. I told you they're in the middle way. So they did not overrule that means scientific methods, they used it, okay, to understand cause and effect relationship. Thus, an element of positivism exists in symbolic interactionist school. Positivism is there. Why positivism? Because we are using scientific method. Okay. Basic principles of symbolic interactionism are human beings, unlike lower animals, are endowed with capacity of thought. Okay. This you don't have to discuss now. You can just keep in with your PDF. We'll discuss later because we have to study the theory later in detail. Okay. Now you see this diagram, keep in mind. Okay. You can add this in your synopsis, flowchart, which we have written. You can add there. Okay. Positivism, non-positivism. In between, we have interaction. That means started from positivism and not even reached to non-positivism. It is a between. Interactionism. Two people are there, Weber and Mead. Okay, we are got it. Okay. Then we are coming to the concept of phenomenology. Okay. Phenomenology, non-positivism, subjective understanding of subjective reality. It is the first perspective to be recognized as purely non-positivism. I told you, interactionist or symbolic interactionism, not pure form, in middle. But phenomenology, ethnomethodology, both purely non-positivist. Okay. Purely non-positivist, first the phenomenological perspective. Phenomenology represent the most radical departure from positivist perspective. What do you mean by this most radical departure? That means purely he is leaving positivism, is coming to non-positivism. Radical departure. This perspective took shape in writing of Alfred Schultz. Okay, Berger and Luckman in their book Social Construction of Reality formalize their perspectives. Phenomenologists go further than interactionists in that they reject the possibility of reducing causal explanation of human behavior. So what is non-positive? Phenomenologist means non-positivist. What are they saying? They reject the concept. It is not possible at all to understand, to go and find out why a person behave in certain way. Is that possible? Not possible. You can't go and find a cause and a relationship for a behavior of people. It is not possible. Okay. So phenomenologists say that according to this perspective, human beings make sense of the world by imposing subjective meanings. And according to this perspective, there is no objective reality beyond this subjective meaning. There is no objective reality. We're not dealing with any scientific methods or something. There is biasness will come. Subjective meanings will be there. Okay. They say that in order to decipher the phenomena, sociologists must immerse themselves into areas of life they seek to investigate rather than attempt to fit the data into predetermined categories. It emphasizes more on understanding rather than building, and use of scientific method is also very minimal. That means what in non-positivism, scientific methods we are using very, very minimally. We are more into understanding phenomena. I've told you, remember, we have written differences, theory, testing. In opposite side, we have written just we are understanding it. Okay. We are not going behind making theories or why it happened. That is not possible with society or with individual. Okay, because subject matter we are studying is individual whose behavior cannot be predicted. Then we speak about ethnomethodology. Ethnomethodology, non-positivism is further enriched with the second concept. First one was phenomenology. Okay, with the introduction of ethnomethodological approach. Here the emphasis on understanding the reality is in terms of methods viewed by people in their day-to-day life. I told you the example of accident, you can remember. We'll go to the spectators and we are understanding. Okay, this approach has been developed by Harold Garfinger in his book Studies in Ethnomethodology, in 1967. It defined as study of the body of common sense knowledge and range of procedures. And this is not required. Okay, you can just quote the name of the book. If possible, you can remember, you can quote the year, that's it. Okay. This approach is used method of account. This is important. Okay. Ethnomethodology directly you link with this method of account. You should know that they are going to people. And second one you have to remember is that this method of accounts we are using. This is the stories that people tell for the purpose of understanding a situation. It is a socio-psychological approach taking into consideration individual accounts. I told you it will be highly subjective. That means what? High time bias will be there. Difference between phenomenology and ethnomethodology is a source of meaning, which generate people in their mind. In case of phenomenology, meanings are generated with respect to particular phenomena, whereas in ethnomethodology, detailed individual accounts are taken from individual with respect. I told you we are going to people and collecting data. Ethnomethodologist then takes out relevant material from the individual detailed account, and then they will finally come to an analysis. Okay. Now, sorry. Okay. We'll come to elements of non-positivism. In the elements of non-positivism, already we have discussed. Okay. What are the elements of non-positivism? We'll see now. Okay. Non-positivism emphasis on understanding social phenomena. So more into understanding. What do you mean by understanding? Internal reality. In terms of internal sides, represented by meaning, sentiments, emotions, etc. That is phenomenology, ethnomethodology. We can quote an example when you talk about internal meanings. Both these methods are using internal sides. According to this approach, scientific methods similar to natural science cannot be used in sociology because it is non-positivism. In general, non-positivists favor generation of qualitative data, okay, and use of qualitative methods like deduction, comparative analysis, etc. All these methods we'll study in next chapter, okay, what are the different qualitative, quantitative methods, everything. Weber's method, okay, of Westerhan was a qualitative method devised for study of social acts. This also we'll study in detail. Non-positivists reject the possibility of formulation of general theories. So I told you, theories are just a distinct reality. Forget about that. Not possible in non-positivism. Then in this approach, testability and prediction is also not possible. Non-positive favors subjectivity. That means objectivity is not possible. More into subjectivity. So what are the things? Internal meaning. We are into more qualifying of data. Formulation of general theory not possible. Testability, prediction not possible. Objectivity not possible. More towards subjective phenomena. Okay. Although non-positivists do use a logical approach in which they tend to eliminate the subjectivity of the investigator, they do accommodate different values and biases. Okay. I told you we were writing some notes in between. I have told you we are trying to train the investigator to not to be biased. Okay. That we can do. Values and biasness, we can give training to the people and we can reduce the limit. But in non-positivism, according to non-positivist, biasness will be there. Okay, subjective element we can tend to eliminate. Completely it is not possible. Okay, now we'll talk about criticism. Okay, criticism means what? Whatever the limitations we are talking, whatever is, if you have something to talk about a negative things about whatever we are, not purely negative. Okay. This approach could not resolve the dilemma of subjectivity and objectivity. What's first criticism is that subjectivity and objectivity, this cannot be solved. Okay, because some point we will say objectivity is possible, some point we will say it is not possible. So even in subjectivity also sometimes objectivity problems come in. So this value free from personal bias or value freedom is very difficult to achieve. We till now sociology is not able to resolve the dilemma between the two. Okay, different non-positivists had different opinions on possibility and desirability of objectivity. For example, Weber and Mead favored objectivity, but later non-positivists did not mark on that. They said that subjectivity will come on whatever we study in sociology. Okay, next criticism. Non-positivists could not develop single methodological principle in terms of the use of quantitative and qualitative data. For example, we cannot say when we are doing only qualitative method will be used. Now everybody is using what? Everybody is using both mix of qualitative and quantitative data. We have given an example here also. You can write about juvenile justice. One study was done by Sikora. You can quote that example. Okay. This method heavily depends upon ability of investigator requiring proper training. I've spoken about this. Application of this method involves huge cost and time. Okay. Example, ethnomethodological account can only be generated after a lengthy technical procedure undertaken by specialists. So what are we doing? Ethnomethodology, what are we doing? We are going to different people. We are doing method of accounts. In method of accounts, we are going to different people. Suppose accident happened here. Okay. And people are standing here and watching everything. You are coming from here. You have to go to every person and understand. So it will take a lot of time to do the things. That is what we are talking here. Non-positivists rely on understanding the phenomena a number of times. Research on same phenomena result in different experiments. This I've told you last class. That means what? I will be studying a phenomena, but I have some subjective bias in my mind. So every time I go and study, I'll get different analysis. Okay, so it is not objective, it is not bias free, it is not technical. Okay, because we are dealing with people. Every time I go and speak to somebody, their viewpoint also will change. So I'm not able to come into a generalized theory based upon this. Finally, in practice, application of this approach was found more suitable for micro. This also we have written first. Micro phenomena which are more particular and specific. It is important to apply in the study of macro. It is difficult to apply in the study of macro phenomena. In the absence of possibility of theories, is it possible? No. Use of scientific methods, not possible to an extent. Objectivity, not possible. this approach has been accused of some scientists as non-scientific and vague. So people have said that, oh, it is not possible. Scientific method is not possible. Objectivity you are not achieving. Theory building you are not doing. Testing you are not doing. So he's telling that what is this? It is so vague. Some people criticize by saying this. Finally, how can you conclude? After 1940, the debate, okay, we can conclude that some people have accepted both this concept together, okay. For example, Parson and Merton, okay, they have integrated this approach, okay, depending upon the need of the study, need of situation they will use. That means I'm doing a sociological research. Sometimes I may be using quantitative methods. Sometimes I'll be using qualitative methods. Depending upon my need, I'll be keep on changing this. Okay, that's a conclusion. Okay. 1940, debate between positivism and non-post started fading out in favor of more composite approach, using both as per the requirement. As per the situation needed, I'll be using. Famous sociologist has resorted to the combination of their approaches rather than combination of approaches we are using. Okay, rather than sticking to methodological purities. Moreover, postmodern methodologies used by different sociologists often combine qualitative and quantitative methods. Some postmodernists, such as David Harvey, attempted to use methodologies according to purpose of the research. Okay, for the need of, depending upon what my research demand, I'll be using different methods like this. Okay, I know today we have been little lengthy. Okay, that's it for the day. If you have any doubt, you can ask.
Ma'am, that concept of indexicality and all written before elements of non-positivism.
Actually, we have referred from some book and written, not required. You don't have to write. Anyway, this much also, whatever we have discussed also, you will not have the space to write. So you can just read and leave it. Okay, no need to study on that.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah.
And there is a question. Explain the basic premises of anti-positivist attack on sociology. Do you agree with this? Substantiate your answer. Ma'am, does it follow the same structure, answer structure?
Yeah, in that structure you can follow, but when you're writing or concluding it, you can say it is not required that you have to take a stand. Okay, whatever you are telling, you can substantiate with the examples or with the statement. So you can say that finally you can say that you can quote the elements of non-positivism. Then finally you conclude by saying that people now like Parson, Merton and all, they are combining these two and using. So you can quote that by saying and finish it. Structure you can use almost the same way.